The Galactic Council chamber was filled with light, sound, and voices of many different species. Some had wings, some had scales, others had metallic bodies that shone like silver. They came from across the stars, but they had one question on their minds. Why had Earth never come? For hundreds of years, every new civilization that reached spaceflight joined the council. It was a rule, a tradition, almost like a law of the galaxy. Yet Earth, a blue and green planet on the edge of the Orion Arm, had been silent. The humans never sent diplomats. They never answered council messages. Their seat, marked with the symbol of their world, was always empty. Some aliens laughed about it. Others were curious. And some, quietly, were afraid. "They are primitives," one lizard-like delegate hissed. "They are not ready for us. Perhaps they never will be." "They are stubborn," said another, a creature with 3 eyes. "They believe they are above us. But they will come crawling one day." Yet a few voices whispered something different. What if they are waiting for something? What if the silence is not weakness, but strength? The rumors grew like fire across the council. Reports from wandering traders and spies began to surface. Strange signals from human space, encrypted and sharp, unlike anything seen before. Fleets of ships moving between Mars and Jupiter, but never answering hails. New starbases built far beyond their sun, in silence. And always, the humans ignored the council. Some counselors dismissed it. "They are nothing," they said. But in the dark corners of the chamber, there was unease. One night, far from the council's capital star, a scout ship picked up something unusual. At first, it looked like static, random noise. But then the pattern grew clear. It was human speech, compressed into bursts of energy, bouncing across the void. A message carried on beams of light. The scout captain froze as he listened. The voice was calm, strong, and utterly alien to him, yet human in tone. "We are coming." The message was short, only 3 words, but it repeated again and again. "We are coming." When the council heard, the chamber fell silent for the first time in centuries. What did it mean? Was it a warning? A promise? Or something worse? Nobody could answer. And for the first time, the galaxy began to fear the silence of Earth. In the following months, more reports arrived. Massive engines seen burning beyond Pluto. Shadows of warships drifting silently through the dark. Human science advancing at a speed that made no sense. How had they done this, without sharing knowledge, without being part of the council? No one could believe it. Some even claimed it was lies, invented stories meant to scare others. But the evidence grew. Humanity had been busy in its silence. In the chambers, arguments grew louder. "We should confront them now," some demanded. "Before it is too late." Others shook their heads. "You do not understand humans. They fight like no other species. If they are preparing, it means they are ready." The debates raged, but Earth still said nothing. No envoy, no message, no explanation. Just silence. And silence, in the galaxy, was the loudest sound of all. Then, one day, a long-range observatory caught sight of them. Not one ship. Not 2. A fleet. Dozens of massive human warships, shaped like knives of steel, moving in formation. They were heading directly toward council space. When the images arrived, the council chamber erupted in chaos. Some shouted in anger. Some in terror. Others in awe. The empty seat of Earth seemed to glow in the chamber, as if mocking them all. The humans had skipped every council, every rule, every invitation. And now, without warning, they were coming with a fleet. The galaxy would never be the same again. The council chamber did not rest after the human fleet was first seen. Every delegate carried the news back to their homeworlds, and in every corner of the galaxy the same question rose again and again. What had Earth been doing all this time? On a station orbiting a red dwarf star, traders whispered about it while exchanging goods. They said they had seen strange human ships near the asteroid belts. Some swore the ships moved faster than any known drive. Others claimed humans had discovered a new kind of weapon, one that could burn a fleet in seconds. Many laughed, saying it was just fear talking. But fear, once spoken, spreads like smoke. In another system, a scout captain stood before his admiral. His small ship had come across something in the deep dark, a chain of human stations, hidden behind drifting rocks. They were not simple mining outposts. They were fortresses, bristling with weapons. The captain swore by his honor that he had seen hundreds of ships docked there. The admiral ordered silence, locking the report away. But silence only made the rumors stronger. Within the council, old rivalries reignited. The insectoid Kesh, always quick to anger, demanded action. Humans must be stopped before they rise too high, their speaker hissed. The tall, silver-skinned Yuan shook their heads. They are secretive, yes, but perhaps they are simply protecting themselves. Should we attack a species only because they chose silence? The debates grew endless, but one fact could not be denied. Humanity had advanced faster than anyone expected. When Earth was first noticed centuries ago, they had only begun to launch rockets into orbit. Most species took thousands of years to climb from stone tools to interstellar travel. Humans had done it in less than 300. The speed frightened everyone. What kind of people could rise so fast? What kind of will could push them through war, hunger, and endless struggle, and still send them to the stars? On a quiet moon near the edge of council space, two alien diplomats met in secret. One was from the bird-like Terrell, the other from the massive, tusked Goran. They were rivals by nature, but now they shared one fear. I heard the humans have fleets hidden behind Neptune, the Terrell whispered. I heard they discovered something on Mars that gave them power, the Goran rumbled. I heard, the Terrell added, voice shaking, that they have weapons that can blind suns. They both knew none of them had proof, but the fear was real enough. In their minds, humanity was no longer just a small, quiet world. It was a storm waiting to break. Back in the council chamber, a vote was called. Should they send an investigation fleet to Sol, the human home system? The arguments were heated. Some screamed yes, others screamed no. In the end, the vote failed. Too much fear. Too much doubt. No one wanted to be the first to test human strength. Still, the whispers grew. Across the stars, people began to tell stories of humans. They said humans had no fear of death. They said humans fought wars with themselves until no enemy could stand against them. They said humans could survive on worlds no other species dared to touch. To some, humans sounded like monsters. To others, like legends. A small empire near Earth's borders soon made a mistake. Their patrol ships entered human-controlled space, testing their defenses. None returned. Only silence came back, and then a single transmission. Do not enter again. The message was cold and clear. No threats, no shouts, only a warning. It was enough to terrify the entire border empire. Within days, they pulled back their fleets, leaving the edge of their space empty, too afraid to approach again. The news of this incident raced through the galaxy like lightning. The council demanded answers. But Earth remained silent. Not a word, not a signal, not an envoy. The empty chair in the chamber sat like a shadow. Some counselors began to whisper that humanity was planning to arrive at last, not as friends but as rulers. Others believed the opposite, that humans had been hurt by the galaxy once before, and now trusted no one. No one could agree, but everyone could feel the same thing rising in the air. A storm was coming. And then, one cycle later, the long-range sensors caught the first clear sign. Human ships had entered council-controlled space. Not scouts. Not small patrols. A fleet. They flew in silence, with engines burning bright, shields alive with power. The banners they carried were strange, unknown to alien eyes, but clear enough. It was the flag of Earth. The Council had demanded humanity come for centuries. Now humanity was finally answering. But the humans were not coming to ask permission. They were coming with strength. and the galaxy could only wait. The Council's capital star system had never known fear. For thousands of years, its skies had been filled with the ships of many races. Fleets of trade vessels, silver cruisers of defense, the proud warships of older empires, all came and went beneath the glow of the twin suns. But on that day, the system trembled with something new. The human fleet had arrived. They came in silence, sliding out of faster-than-light jumps like shadows rising from the dark. First one ship, then 3, then 20, until the void itself seemed crowded with steel giants. They were massive, sharp-edged, built not for beauty but for war. Some were larger than any ship the Council had ever seen, shaped like long spears with glowing engines that painted lines of fire across the stars. At first, there was confusion. The defense stations demanded identification codes. None came. Patrols tried to block the newcomers, but their scanners failed to pierce the humans' armor. Every attempt at communication was answered by the same, cold silence. Inside the council chamber, alarms rang. Delegates rushed to their seats, wings flapping, claws scraping, voices shouting in panic. The chamber had seen wars before, but never had a species entered the capital with such open force. Some demanded the fleet be destroyed at once. Others begged for caution. No one agreed, but every eye turned to the great screen above the chamber as the images came in. Dozens of human ships now filled the skies of the capital system. Their formation was precise, almost too precise, as if every ship moved like part of a single body. Their weapons were powered, but not firing. Their shields glowed faintly, daring anyone to test them. On the ground, ordinary citizens watched in fear. 1,000 different species filled the streets, staring up at the heavens. Parents pulled their children close. Traders closed their stalls. Soldiers gripped their weapons, uncertain if they would be called to die that day. And then, the humans sent a signal. It was not a threat, not a demand, but a simple broadcast sent across the system. The screen in the council chamber went black for a moment, and then a symbol appeared. A circle of blue and green, crossed with a star. The flag of Earth. Gasps filled the chamber. Some recognized it from ancient records, the emblem of humanity's homeworld. Others saw it for the first time, but all understood its meaning. Humanity was announcing itself. After the symbol, words followed. The voice was calm, deep, and unmistakably human. "We are here." That was all. 3 words, but they carried across the stars like thunder. The chamber erupted in chaos. Some screamed that it was a declaration of war. Others argued it was only an introduction. But the truth was clear to everyone. Earth had finally come to the council. And it had come with power. As the debate raged, the fleet began to move again. Slowly, carefully, it approached the orbit of the capital planet. Defense fleets scrambled into position, but they held their fire. No one wanted to be the first to unleash a battle that could burn the heart of the galaxy. In the command center of the defense, officers studied the human ships with growing dread. Their armor was thick, far beyond standard designs. Their engines burned with a strange glow, a sign of technology no one fully understood. Their weapons, though silent, carried signatures of immense power. It was clear, if war broke out, the humans would not fall easily. And still, the humans did not attack. Instead, a single ship broke formation. It was smaller than the others, though still massive compared to council craft. It glided forward until it hovered above the capital planet, shields gleaming in the light of the twin suns. From its belly, a shuttle detached, heading straight for the council's surface. "They are coming here," one delegate whispered, trembling. "They are walking into this very chamber." The council guards prepared at once. The chamber floor shook as soldiers marched into place, lining the walls with weapons ready. The great doors at the far end sealed themselves, waiting for the visitors. For the first time in living memory, the galaxy held its breath. Minutes later, the shuttle landed outside the chamber. Its metal surface was black, its edges sharp, its engines hissing with strange fire. A ramp lowered, and figures began to walk down. They were human. Tall, upright, wrapped in uniforms of dark fabric with bright symbols on their shoulders. Their faces were calm, but their eyes were sharp, scanning everything. They carried no visible weapons, yet every step they took felt like the march of an army. Behind them, banners of Earth hung from the shuttle, swaying in the artificial breeze. The chamber doors opened. The humans entered. Every delegate stared in silence. For centuries, that seat had remained empty. Now the ones who owned it had come, not as humble visitors, but as a power that could not be ignored. The lead human stepped forward. His voice carried through the hall, steady and strong. "Earth has heard your calls," he said. "And now, Earth answers." The chamber shook with 100 voices rising at once. Some in fury, some in fear, some in awe. But none could deny it now. Humanity had arrived. And the galaxy would never forget this day. The council chamber had never been so quiet. Thousands of eyes, small, large, glowing, scaled, feathered, or mechanical, were fixed on the humans who had just entered. The air itself felt heavy. For centuries, the chamber had seen endless speeches, arguments, and votes. But never before had silence ruled like this. The human envoys walked slowly, their boots echoing on the smooth floor. There were only 5 of them, yet they carried the weight of an entire world behind their steps. Their uniforms were dark, sharp, with symbols stitched in silver. Their faces were unreadable, calm, but their eyes carried something that made even the most powerful species uneasy. It was not arrogance. It was not fear. It was certainty. At the center of the chamber stood the great circle of seats, each belonging to a different civilization. The humans stopped at the edge of the circle, facing the empty seat that had always been theirs. For a moment, they simply stood there, silent, letting the weight of their presence sink in. Then the leader among them, a tall man with dark hair streaked with gray, stepped forward. He placed a small device on the table. It flickered, adjusting its language codes, and then his voice filled the chamber in clear translation. "Earth has heard your calls," he said again, steady and strong. "For generations, you asked why we did not come. Today, we answer." Murmurs filled the chamber at once. The insectoid Kesh delegate clicked his mandibles. "You arrive with warships. You surround our skies with steel. This is no answer. This is a threat." The human's eyes turned toward him, calm as stone. "If we meant to threaten, we would not be here in person. We would not have left our ships idle. We are here because words are more powerful than weapons." The room stirred. Some whispered at the boldness. Others remained silent, waiting. The Yuan delegate, tall and silver-skinned, leaned forward. "Then why did you remain silent for so long? Why skip every council, every invitation, every chance to join us as equals? Why now?" The human leader took a slow breath before answering. "Because Earth was not ready. We were a world divided. We fought wars among ourselves, endless and bitter. But from that struggle we learned. We united. We built. We prepared. We came here not to kneel, not to beg, but to stand as equals." The chamber erupted again. Some shouted in anger, others in surprise. The humans did not flinch. "You call this equality?" the Goran delegate roared, tusks flashing. "You arrive with a fleet large enough to burn worlds. You speak of peace, but you carry war in your shadow." The human's voice rose, not loud but heavy with weight. "We carry war because we have known war. We carry strength because only strength is respected. Do not mistake silence for weakness. Do not mistake peace for surrender. Humanity comes not as prey, but as a people who choose their own path." The chamber shook with voices again. The words cut deep. Some species felt insulted, others inspired. The delegates argued loudly, but through it all, the humans stood calm, watching, waiting. At last, the council speaker, an ancient being older than most empires, rose from his throne. His body shimmered with pale light, his voice carrying authority that demanded silence. "Humans of Earth," the speaker said slowly, This chamber has waited centuries for you. We demanded your presence. And now you come. Yet you come in strength, not in trust. How do we believe your words when your ships darken our skies? The human leader met the speaker's gaze without fear. You believe not because of our ships, but because of our choice. We chose to step into this chamber instead of unleashing fire. We chose to speak first, before striking. That is proof enough. For a long moment, no one spoke. The words hung in the air, sharp as blades, heavy as stone. Then, the human reached out and touched the empty chair that had waited for them for so long. Slowly, he pulled it forward and sat down. The other humans stood behind him, silent sentinels. Gasps filled the chamber. For centuries, that seat had been a symbol of absence, of mystery, of refusal. Now, it was no longer empty. Humanity had taken its place. The human leader's voice echoed once more. Earth will not be silent again. We are here. And we will be heard. The chamber fell into chaos. Some species shouted for war. Others shouted for peace. But deep down, all of them knew one truth. Humanity had entered the game, and nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same again. The chamber did not calm after the humans claimed their seat. The debate raged on for days, but the envoys of Earth remained silent, letting the galaxy argue around them. Yet in private meetings, in quiet corners, whispers spread. Everyone wanted to know the same thing. How had Earth grown so strong in the shadows? The truth was not spoken in the chamber. It was carried in memories, in the long and painful history of a single world. On Earth, centuries earlier, humans had stood on the edge of destruction. Nations fought wars with fire and steel, weapons that could burn entire cities. For a time, it seemed humanity would end by its own hand. But from that chaos, something unexpected grew. They learned that no war could ever truly destroy them. They rebuilt again and again, stronger each time. Where others saw weakness, humans found resilience. When the stars first opened to them, they did not rush outward to seek friends. They looked inward, knowing they needed unity first. Old borders began to fade. Divisions of nation, race, and belief slowly weakened as humanity learned to survive together. It was not easy. It cost generations of struggle. But from the struggle rose something rare: one people, one Earth. The galaxy never saw this, because humans hid their steps carefully. Every message from the Council was ignored, not because of pride, but because of caution. Humanity knew the danger of revealing weakness too soon. They knew older empires would treat them as prey, as tools, as subjects. So they chose silence, building in secret, while the galaxy laughed at their empty chair. Deep in their solar system, the humans worked. Mars became their first outpost, a red world reshaped by determination. Beneath its dust, they built factories that never slept. On the moons of Jupiter, they carved hidden shipyards, assembling steel giants piece by piece. Around Saturn, rings of stations spun, disguised as mining platforms, but hiding weapons far beyond their time. Even farther out, past Pluto, their greatest secret waited. In the black silence beyond the sun's reach, humans discovered something strange: an ancient ruin, older than any known empire. It was not theirs, not human-made, but its technology lit a fire in their minds. They did not copy it blindly. They studied, tested, and reshaped it into their own. With that knowledge, their engines grew faster, their weapons sharper, their shields stronger. All the while, they kept their silence. They let the galaxy believe they were slow, weak, primitive. Traders who strayed too close to Sol were turned away with cold warnings. Spies who tried to sneak in never returned. Rumors spread, but proof never came. Humanity had mastered the art of shadows. And in the shadows, they grew. When the Council finally saw their fleets, they were seeing centuries of quiet labor, forged in patience and steel. Each warship was not just a machine, it was the result of countless sacrifices, of generations who worked knowing they might never live to see the day Earth would stand among the stars as an equal. Even among humans, many did not understand the full truth. Ordinary citizens lived their lives, raising families, dreaming of futures among the stars. Only the leaders and the builders knew how much was being prepared in secret. For them, silence was survival. But silence could not last forever. The galaxy had begun to notice. Scouts reported strange encounters. Minor empires tested the edges of human space, only to be turned away or destroyed. It became clear that one day, Earth would have to step forward. And so, the decision was made. When the fleets were ready, when unity was strong enough, when their strength could no longer be hidden, Earth would take its place. Not as a begging newcomer, not as a frightened child, but as a voice that could not be ignored. That day had come. Now, as the humans sat in the chamber of the Galactic Council, their presence carried all those secrets with it. Every scar of war, every lesson of struggle, every secret built in the silence of the dark. The other species could only guess, but the humans knew the truth. They had not come early because they were not ready. And they had not come late, because they never wasted a moment. They had come exactly when they chose to. And the galaxy was only beginning to understand what that choice meant. The days after Earth's arrival were restless across the galaxy. The human fleet remained above the council capital, silent and unmoving, yet its shadow reached every star. Entire civilizations watched the skies with fear. Traders whispered of war, citizens filled the streets in protest, and leaders sent frantic messages demanding answers. Inside the council chamber, the debates grew louder each day. Some delegates demanded that the humans disarm before they could be allowed to join. Others said it was too late, Earth had already proven it could not be forced. Every word spoken only deepened the divide. They came with warships, not diplomats, the insectoid Kesh shouted. That is not peace, it is conquest. They came to speak, not to fire, the silver-skinned Druin answered calmly. Perhaps their silence was wisdom, not aggression. Back and forth, the arguments raged. But outside the chamber, fleets were already moving. Old empires that had ruled for millennia felt their power slipping. Younger empires, jealous of humanity's sudden rise, saw a threat to their future. Secret alliances began to form. Plans of war were drawn in the shadows. Yet the humans did not waver. Their ships held position, their envoys sat in their seat, and their silence spoke louder than any weapon. For some, that silence was unbearable. On the far edge of the capital system, a small fleet belonging to a proud empire tested the humans. They moved close to the outermost human ships, weapons powered but not firing. For hours, they shadowed the human formation, trying to provoke a response. Finally, one of their cruisers locked weapons and fired a warning shot. A bright beam of energy cut across the void, missing its target but marking its intent. The humans answered in less than a heartbeat. One ship turned, its hull glowing with strange light. A single blast of energy leapt from its cannons, precise and sharp. The alien cruiser did not even have time to raise its shields. It was gone in an instant, torn apart into glowing fragments. The rest of the alien fleet froze. Not another shot was fired. Not another word was spoken. The humans returned to formation, as calm and silent as before. When news of the event reached the council, panic filled the chamber. Some screamed for vengeance, others for restraint. But everyone agreed on one truth. Humanity's power was no rumor. It was real. In the weeks that followed, fear spread faster than light. Whole empires began to move their fleets closer to the capital, not to defend it, but to prepare for the war they believed was coming. Citizens across the galaxy watched in dread as the news repeated endlessly. Earth destroys cruiser. Humanity stronger than expected. Council divided. Yet while fear grew, another feeling began to rise as well: curiosity. Some races saw in humanity something they had lost long ago. Courage. Defiance. Unity. For the first time in centuries, the Council was not the strongest voice in the galaxy. And for some, that was not a danger but a chance. The humans noticed. Their envoys spoke rarely, but when they did, their words cut through the chaos. "We are not here to bow," they said. "We are not here to rule. We are here to stand beside you, but only if you accept us as equals." Those words split the galaxy even deeper. Some called it arrogance. Others called it hope. For the first time, species who had long been ignored began to see Earth as a symbol, proof that even the oldest powers could be challenged. But the great empires did not see symbols. They saw threats. Behind closed doors, their leaders whispered of strikes, of battles, of ending humanity before it could grow any stronger. Armies were readied. War plans were drawn. The galaxy teetered on the edge of fire. And yet, humanity did not retreat. They revealed more ships, more fleets, drifting into council space in disciplined formation. Each new arrival made the tension worse, yet also made the truth clearer. If war came, it would not be simple. It would not be short. And no one could be sure who would survive. In the council chamber, the speaker called for unity. His voice was steady, but his body trembled with age. "If we fight," he warned, "we may end all we have built. If we accept them, we may change forever. The choice must be made soon." The humans sat in silence, watching, waiting. And across the stars, a question echoed in every heart, alien and human alike. Would the galaxy choose peace, or would the first war of Earth against the stars begin? The galaxy stood at the edge of a decision. Fleets filled the skies above the council capital, their weapons ready, their captains waiting for the order that could change history forever. The humans had arrived in silence, but their presence spoke louder than any speech. They had shown power, they had shown patience, and now, the galaxy had to choose. In the council chamber, the air was heavy. Thousands of delegates filled the hall, each representing a world, a system, a people. For weeks they had argued, shouted, accused, and feared. Now, there was no time left. The speaker stood, his voice carrying across the chamber, trembling but clear. "Today we decide," he said. "Humanity stands before us. We must choose if they are friend or foe." The human envoy, a tall figure in dark uniform, rose from their seat. They looked across the chamber, calm and steady, while every alien eye followed them. No weapons, no armies, only words. "We came here because we will not hide," the envoy said. "For too long, we have been told that Earth is weak, unworthy, a world to be ignored. But we are here now, and we will not bow. If you see us as enemies, then we will fight. But if you see us as equals, then we will stand with you. The choice is yours." The chamber filled with noise. Some delegates shouted in anger, calling it a threat. Others shouted in agreement, calling it courage. The voices clashed until the speaker raised his hand, demanding silence. Outside, the fleets waited. The great empires held their ships close, their generals whispering of a strike that could end Earth before it spread too far. But other fleets, smaller and weaker, began to drift toward the humans, their captains making silent gestures of alliance. It was no longer a debate of words. It was a test of courage. Then, a moment came that no one expected. A young delegate from a forgotten world stepped forward. Their voice shook, but their words carried across the chamber. "My people have been ignored for centuries," they said. "We begged the council for help, but none came. Earth speaks the truth. They do not ask to rule. They ask only to stand equal. If the council cannot see this, then we will." One by one, other voices joined. A desert world. A colony long abandoned. A small fleet on the edge of the galaxy. All of them spoke. All of them chose Earth. The great empires grew furious. Their delegates pounded the tables, their fleets powered weapons, their leaders screamed of rebellion. But even their anger could not silence the truth. The galaxy was changing. The human envoy raised their hand, and silence fell again. "We will not fire the first shot," they said. "But if you fire on us, we will finish what you begin." It was not spoken with pride. It was not spoken with fear. It was spoken with certainty. And in that certainty, the galaxy heard something it had not heard in centuries: resolve. The speaker looked out across the chamber. He saw the divide. He saw the fear. And he saw the hope. Slowly, with a voice almost broken, he gave the words that would be remembered for ages. Humanity will stand among us. Not as slaves. Not as masters. As equals. The chamber erupted. Some in fury, some in celebration. Outside, fleets turned their weapons away. The war that had been so close to beginning faded, not gone, but delayed. Humanity had not only survived its first test, it had been accepted. That night, across the stars, celebrations erupted. On Earth, cities glowed with light and joy. On alien worlds, citizens spoke the name of humanity with new respect. And in the hearts of billions, a new thought began to take shape. Perhaps the age of the old empires was ending. Perhaps something new had begun. But not all celebrated. In the shadows of the great empires, leaders plotted. Their pride was wounded, their power shaken. They whispered of vengeance, of the day they would strike when humanity was unprepared. The humans knew this. They did not celebrate blindly. They strengthened their fleets, built alliances with the small and the weak, and prepared for the day when silence would no longer be enough. For now, though, Earth had won. Against the weight of an entire galaxy, they had stood unbroken. Against fear and hatred, they had forced respect. And in that moment, a truth spread across every star, whispered in every language. Humans were here. Humans would not kneel. Humans would endure. The galaxy had chosen. And nothing would ever be the same again.